In this video, we are going to learn about the as clause, which is very simple and straightforward. That as clause is used to rename the column in your output, which makes your data more descriptive and user friendly. The syntax of as clause is select column name and then you use the keyword as and then you write the alias name or the nickname that you would like to give. So to go ahead and see it in action, let us go to our PG admin and write select star from payment table. Let us run it, and we have been using this table a lot. If you're watching this video for the very first time or this series for the first time, here we have payment ID, customer ID, staff ID, rental ID, amount, and payment date. So what we would like to do now is to go ahead and get the total money spent by each customer. So first we are going to select the customer ID from the table, and then we are going to use the aggregate function and pass the amount column, and in the next line we are going to group by this result by customer ID because we want the total money spent by each customer. So here we have customer ID 184 has spent $80, 87 has spent $137. Now what you see here, which is not very nice, is that in this column, the second column, the name is sum, which really doesn't look nice. So what we can do now, since we know we have an as clause available to us, that after sum amount aggregate function, I can write the keyword as and then maybe write salary. Okay. Now if you see, the column name has been changed to salary, or we could also say maybe transactions or maybe spend, right? EXPENSES. We can say maybe expenses. So you see the column name will change, and we could now use this same alias name to even order by. So let's say order by expenses, and I'm gonna do it by descending, and let's run it. So we have now column ordered by expenses in the descending order. It would still work with the sum amount. If you use the sum amount and run it, it would still give you the same output. It's just that you don't have to write all the aggregate function along with its column name once you have declared its alias. But one thing to note is that you won't be able to do it with the where clause and maybe the having clause. So let us go ahead and see it in action. Let us say having, then we are going to use expenses greater than 100. So let us run it. See, we are going to get an error because it says column expense does not exist. The reason is because this column sum amount gets an alias name after this entire query is run. So once it is completed, only then this value gets assigned, and when it is running here, when it is coming, the control is coming to this line, the query does not know that some amount has to be recognized as expenses. It does work for order by because order by runs at the end, but for the having expenses, the query will only pick up the expense alias name after the query is run entirely. So it is not going to work, and you will have to use some amount to actually filter the aggregate function column by using the aggregate function and then the column name. You see, we get the results. Oh, I made a bummer. So it's having some amount which should be greater than 100. Okay, there you have it. So all the expenses that we have made is now more than 100. So you now get an idea on actually how you can use the as clause. And remember, as clause doesn't have to be only on the aggregate function. You could also be using customer ID as customer, so that you don't have to use underscore ID again and again. It will also work on normal columns like generic columns on which you have not performed the aggregate function. In the coming video, in the next video, we're going to learn about the joint statement, which is super important. And if you're preparing for interview or if you're going for a job for the very first time, joint statements are often very much asked, and it is used a lot in day-to-day world of writing SQL queries. So it is super important, and I'll see you in that video.